Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the podcast. My name is Benjamin Lake. Welcome to Why We Serve. I'm doing my first ever actual interview this time with my buddy Vince Hollis, known us since high school. Um, Today, we're really going to talk about just his journey through the military, why he joined, his ultimate purpose for it, and then really what kept him going through and his ultimate decision on when he got out and how he feels about that currently, and just general talk about how he feels about that. So here's Vince. Welcome to the podcast, Vince.
What up? How you doing,
That's
man?
what I'm talking about, man. Good to see it. For the listeners, just give a little history. We've obviously known each other since we were freaking 13, 12 or something.
Somewhere in there. I don't even remember, man. It's been a long
It's
time.
been a long time. So just give a little history, a little back brief on where you're from, kind of your little timeline before, obviously, the military.
Okay. So I was born in this area, Rolla, Missouri. Um, so my mom's side, they're all from St. Louis. So whenever I was probably 2 or 3, I moved to St. Louis, lived there with my mom until I was about 12 years old, and then moved back to Vienna when I was in 6th grade. And then, from there, I guess till 19, right before I joined. Joined at 19 years old. Um, and I was in for 4 years active and 2 years reserve.
What I can't remember. I can't remember actually. Was there a gap period between high school, or was it just it was pretty quick right after?
So it was pretty much right out of high school. I mean, I think I went into the late entry program. I think like December of 2010, so senior year, and then I went in. I believe it was like the day before my 19th birthday.
Okay.
So it was, I don't know how many months that
Not
is.
far after. For
Yeah.
those that are listening that don't know about it, delayed entry program, all it is you basically sign your contract and everything. You get everything done, and then but you don't ship for like a couple. I did the delayed entry program as well. You do it like what? I was like 3 months after. How long? Like probably the same or something.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's like they make you go in, they make you do like, you're supposed to PT every month and
Yeah, you
and
got to
get
do like the
weighed
checks or
in,
whatever.
and yeah, you got to do all the military etiquette and all that, like if you're a Navy person, you go up and you say request permission to come aboard. It's like a pretend ship. Yeah. You salute the flag, and then you salute the OOD, the officer on duty or whatever, and then you officer the deck, and then you go, and then they say permission granted, come aboard. And then welcome to the recruiter's office. So
Ugh.
yeah.
For those that are listening that are not in the military, that is very cringy. Like to people that are serve, it's like
Yeah, when you look back, it's kind of cringy. I mean,
in the moment it's kind of cool.
oh yeah,
In the
you think
moment,
you think you're like John Wayne, like, man, I'm
yeah.
walking on this ship with, I'm a bad motherfucker, man. Yeah, yeah, I'm ready to go. Saluting flags and shit. You know.
All right. Yeah. So you joined 19, joined the Navy. What like motivated you? That's like why we're here, I guess. What motivated you to join ultimately? Like, what was your purpose behind it? What did you want to get done?
So just as well as I do that Vienna is a very small town, kind of in the middle of nowhere. I mean, like our closest McDonald's and Walmart, and you know,
Like half an
basically,
hour away.
yeah, half hour away. I mean, you got Jeff City, you got Rolla. I mean, both directions. So there was really nothing here. I mean, there's plenty here. There's farming here. There's construction. There's things like that. There's factories.
Yep.
And I think. Oh, go ahead.
I was just saying, the one thing I see not here a lot of times, not to like, I obviously moved back here, so I love my town,
Mm-hmm.
but progress is definitely not like steamrolling our town. Like like it's not bringing anything in new.
Yeah, it's kind of like taking a step in a time machine. When you come here, I always said Vienna was kind of 10 years behind, which for better or for worse. I mean, it's cool. It's almost gives you like this rustic kind of old fashioned feeling, which is neat. Um, but like if you're a young man, young woman, and you really you want to see more in the world, and you want to see more, opportunity, and more, you have more experiences, that was the only option. I mean, I didn't see any other options, at college it was kind of out for me, I had decent grades, I wasn't a superstar, academic, and I didn't have any big scholarships or anything like that. I don't even know what level athlete I was. I mean, I was a decent athlete, but I was definitely never going to go to college for athletics.
Yeah, I think Vince, your thing, like I think the big thing you had, going was you were just an all around like good, like student, athlete, and everything. Maybe you weren't like the all star,
Oh,
but
haunted in here, man. Your lights are flashing.
The lights going crazy.
Uh-oh. It's a sign.
It's going dark. I had to fix the light. So yeah, no, you were talking about, there wasn't a lot going on, and you didn't think that I guess like with all that, you just didn't think like what?
Oh, so like, yeah, so there wasn't much going on around here, and I didn't really see any other options, and I was just like, man, this military stuff seems pretty cool, and at the time, I mean, reflecting back, we were in a whole different, I guess, era, different time, I mean, you know, 2009, 2010 was kind of around the range I was looking at joining, that was that age, 17, 18 years old.
Yeah.
And, I was just thinking, man, like, the war on terror was still in full swing. I mean, it was probably at its height.
For sure.
It's
still 9/11 still was fresh in our minds.
Oh, yeah.
There was still like, I mean, especially you saw around here,
Mm-hmm.
a very strong bias to how people felt about the Middle East still.
Yeah.
Like very strong.
Oh, yeah, man. Oh, yeah. And it was an honorable thing. And I think that was something that, I guess, glory in a sense, as a kid.
Yeah.
I watched too many Rambo movies,
and that's fine.
Yeah.
Like, I just talked about it the other day. I think a lot of us that joined around then, I obviously joined later, but like that generation, you're like, I'm serving a purpose here.
Yeah, it was purpose. Absolutely. It was purpose. I mean, it was, I wanted to do something honorable, but something that gave me the opportunity to experience things and to get training and to get, something not just your traditional run of the mill, well, I'm going to go work in a factory for 50 years, like it was like, I couldn't, I was like, I can't accept that fate,
Yeah.
So that's why I joined for sure.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's good. So in a sense, I just want to get a general view. I guess it was just like a combination of serving, it's an honorable thing,
mm-hmm.
with I got to get out of here and I want to make something of myself. I'm not going to be stuck here doing these manual, like hard jobs that are not for the faint hearted. Like I want to do something in my life. I'm gonna do it.
Yeah, man. You remember like that year before I joined, like, like I was kind of a fucking wreck, to be honest. Like I was. Yeah, we all were, but I mean, I was kind of a wreck, man. I mean, my priorities were not in line, and I just kind of was living for the moment all the time, which I mean can be good, but I mean I had no goals, nothing set, and I didn't know what I wanted to do. And I think that was something that the military gave me purpose. It gave me structure. It gave me, if I didn't have any goals, they were going to give me goals. They were going to give me objectives.
100%.
And that was the thing.
The thumb is pressed on your head. You're getting your head shoved in the mat, basically.
Yeah.
You got to make a decision of, am I going to sit here? Got to do something about it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was, it gave me purpose for sure. And I think initially, I wanted to make a career out of it. I really did. I wanted to make a career, and I wanted to be, Master Chief or whatever the hell,
Yeah.
I'd be by that point,
Yeah.
Hollis or,
Yeah.
I really thought that back
Yeah.
then, and then, things change.
Yeah. Yeah.
People change,
Yeah.
everybody,
Sure.
everybody, changes over time. Personalities. I mean,
And your viewpoint on the military changes for sure over time,
yeah.
especially after that initial
Oh yeah.
push.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That kind of brings me into my next thing. Like, where did you see your drive and motivation go from basically, I don't want to include basic and AIT, because for AIT, the people that don't know, AIT is your advanced school. Like Navy, what do you guys call
We call it A school. It's advanced school, I believe, is what that
Yeah, AIT
that
is
stands for. Yeah.
advanced individual training. It's just your job. So like, Vince, what was your job?
Logistics specialist. Yep.
Logistics specialist. So like, for how many weeks was it?
Oh God. So we did module. You know how they do modules now.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
like training modules. I think we had like, I don't even remember, man. It was like 18 training modules, and you had TPU. You had holdovers and everything else. I was there from. I was down in Meridian, Mississippi, which you've been there.
Yeah.
Shout out to my good friend Seth Duncan. I know he's been there too.
Yeah.
Just to let you know, he's a Navy man himself. But
We had a fun trip.
Memphis, Tennessee, 2011. But that's
what No, you were finishing.
about 3-4 months is what that was back then. Things could change completely. You could fast track it. You could take night classes back then, and I was not interested in any of that. I didn't care. I just wanted. I would.
So you were there for 3 or 4 months?
Yeah, I was there from. I think I graduated boot camp December 2nd.
That's long.
And then December 2nd, and then I think I had to class up and do all that stuff. How we always had to do your NDoc and everything else.
Yeah.
And then you classed up. I think it was like a week or two, at least a week, but probably 2. And then
sorry, my dog's being crazy.
yeah, so like a week or 2. I'm gonna say 2 weeks.
But 3 or 4 months though.
Yeah. And then you got your modules. I can't remember how many modules we did per week, and then we had holiday stand down at that time.
Oh yeah.
So we had like 10. I think I took like 10 days of leave or something. But I mean, they shut down. It's like block leave for the Army.
Right,
You guys have block leave. Like I don't know any Navy command that has block leave, but they probably do. I mean, we had holiday stand down, which was kind of like laxed hours and everything else. Lax duty hours. But I mean, yeah, no, and then about 3 months roughly.
Yeah. So really, to break that down, we went off on a tangent.
Mm-hmm.
That's fine.
Sorry about that.
No, you're fine. You're fine. Basic and AIT, for people that don't know, you are pretty well motivated the whole time.
Oh yeah.
One thing they give you, like, you are just hard charging. I'm ready for Army, Navy, Marine, Air Force, whatever. Like I'm gonna be the next.
Oh hell yeah.
Army,
Oh hell yeah. You put on those blousing straps with with pride every morning, and you're just
worried about it every day.
Bacon neck in your t-shirt and boots shine. I know you guys don't. Well, and I don't think the Navy shines their boots anymore. But like back then, shine your boots. Your boots had to be shined. I mean,
yeah, it's a pride thing.
Yeah. Big pride thing. Well, it was just you're gonna get your ass busted if you didn't have your boots shine. Yeah. I mean, no, it was oh yeah.
What do you think? Like, but yeah. Let's go from the end of AIT to your first duty station,
mm-hmm.
Right?
Okay.
From there to when you ultimately ETS'd out.
Okay.
Do you guys call it ETS?
Yeah. ETS. Yeah.
So from there to there, how would you describe your pattern of motivation to stay in or get out?
Okay. So from A school, graduated A school. They kind of gave me an ultimatum when I graduated. They said, hey, either A, you head to Japan right away, because that was where my first duty station was, Yokosuka, Japan. A, you head to Japan right away, or B, you take a month leave. You're going to go deficit, which I don't know if they do that with you guys or not.
We just did it to a bunch of privates.
Oh, I got you. Negative, yeah.
Negative 10 days, which just sucks, because that's like that's 4 months to gain your leave.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
2.5 per month. Yeah.
2.5 per month. That's
Yeah.
a long time.
Yeah.
For those that don't, always got to
Go for it. Yeah, absolutely.
I'm trying to do this thing where if you're listening and you're not in the military, I'll try to explain best I can when I catch military stuff. So for us, leave, right? It's PTO, basically paid time off for civilians. They give you in your I don't know how to describe it. Every month, basically, you receive 2.5 days of leave.
It's your benefits. It's your benefits.
Yeah, you get 2.5 days of leave. However, for civilian world, it's hours you accrue, which is basically translates to how many days you can get off based on how many hours per day you work. For us, it don't matter if it's a holiday, a weekend, whatever. It's 10 days is 10 days is 10 days. So like, it kind of sucks to lose that much and then try to work back up to it again.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, something too, you guys need to, realize that if you're ever thinking about joining the military, as out here in the civilian world, there's sick days, like you got sick, you got PTO, you got vacation, depending on the employer, they differentiate it differently. And then, you accrue so many hours per week or bi-weekly or whatever. 2.5 is just the standard 30 days per year. And then, but sick days, they don't exist. So you get this thing called SIQ, sick in quarters, is what the Navy was, at least. I'm sure it's similar in the Army and other branches. But I mean, no real sick days. I mean, if you're sick, you're laying in your bed, you're laying in your rack, whatever, I don't know what the Army calls, beds.
Yeah,
just bunk. Okay. Yeah. Bunks. So, but yeah, that's all. I just had to throw that in there.
Yeah, no, you're good. So what? Yeah, describe your motivation.
So yeah, boot camp. I'll start at boot camp. I like that.
Yeah,
I like that. So you go in and you think, all right, man, I'm ready to kick some ass. Rambo. We're gonna go in here. You train up hard. Rambo. Might not be a good.
No, it's the best.
Yeah, it's great. It's cringe as hell, but
No,
hey, but
it was cool.
But so you go in there and you think, man, I'm going to take over the world. I'm going to go in and fuck some shit up, and then you go in there and you're trained up, man. You've been running, you've been sprinting, you've been doing pull-ups and push-ups and everything else, and then you're just sitting around for like weeks doing medical, doing admin stuff, and you're like, oh man, like.
I think you were so much more motivated than most people. Dude, I was a badass when I joined, and I knew a lot of people that never worked out before. So good on you.
There was a lot of people, man.
Yeah, because you went in, you're like, this PT ain't nothing. But then other physical training for civilians, but like some people be like, oh,
yeah, dude.
Dying, man.
Well, so the story behind that too is like when I started out boot camp, like I was running a lot, preparing, because I thought this was going to be hell on earth. I was thinking, oh my God, boot camp's going to be tough. This is the military. And then I got in and I was like, there's people not passing their mile and a half. And I just couldn't, at the time, I just was so, I don't know. I guess I was just so, it's a lot of normal human beings that go in, and it's like, so like, I was like, man, how come these guys can't finish this mile and a half? And at the time, I just didn't quite get it all. I guess I had a different perspective on things.
Mm-hmm.
But also I was a fresh kid out of high school, man, and had done sports and for years. And I mean,
it's not going to be perfect.
No, so it was a different deal, and I went in, and I remember the first mile and a half run time we had was probably my best one. I got in the Navy, I got in worse shape, cardiovascular wise.
Yeah.
Throughout, by the end of boot camp, I was in worse shape by the end of boot camp, like cardio wise.
Yeah.
I kind of got skinny fat towards the end. It was kind of weird. Like push-ups and sit-ups and stuff though. Like I got better at those because we did a bunch of that, a bunch of core exercises and stuff like that. We didn't do a whole lot of running in boot camp, in Navy boot camp. We really didn't. No, we didn't. Honestly,
that's not the Navy's thing.
Yeah, it's kind of, it's odd though. I mean, but I did go in winter. I mean, we marched everywhere. Like, well, everybody in boot camp, everybody marches everywhere. But man, I'll tell you, we really did not do a whole lot of cardio. Did a lot of in-house PT. So we did a lot of, calisthenic type stuff. Beatings is what we used to call them, where you just go in and, we call them RDCs, RDCs, the recruit division commanders or whatever, drill sergeants, they would come in and, punish us, and give us like mountain climbers and 8 count.
I don't know nothing about that.
Oh yeah, this guy's a drill sergeant. I don't even. Oh, what am I?
Really,
Yeah, what am I talking about here? He doesn't know anything about what I'm talking about. But yeah, I mean, so yeah, I was super motivated. I got in and I was thinking, man, like this is wild. Like, what's up with this shit? Like we're sitting in lines for hours and hours and hours,
man,
and I'm falling asleep.
So and then they get mad at you for falling asleep.
Oh man,
we sit here this long
because you're just so because I think every branch I think does this where they're like keep you up for like 24 hours your first day or whatever. Yeah, and then you can take. We got to take an hour nap on our desk. I remember we were sitting in these desks, and we like got to lay our head down for an hour. Get up, and then they didn't need us up. Just get up. They just get up, and I mean,
shock and awe, man.
Yeah. But all that, going down, that part sucked. I mean, got through boot camp. Boot camp's just a blur. It's probably the easiest time you're ever going to have in your military service in a lot of ways because you literally just have to do whatever they tell you.
Dude, we tell them that.
It's so easy, dude. So easy.
I went over in my last podcast, I think, but I'm a drill sergeant over at Fort Leonard currently. But I'm in AIT. It's a little different. But anyway, like the privates, I tell them, when they complain about stuff, I go, this is like the easiest part of your job because every part of your day down to your sleep is broken down, especially in basic where you're like timing it to the minute what you do. So you don't have to think.
Yeah. Zero. I mean, dude, it's crazy. Like it's like being like five years old again.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah.
And I mean, just play the game, just play the game.
And the people, I think me and you, because we grew up in this kind of lifestyle, the people that didn't grow up in this lifestyle that never had really a challenge in their life, it is hard because they want attention or they want recognition all the time, or they don't understand mass punishment, what the hell that even is. But like, it is super easy to get through if you keep your head down and shut the fuck up. Like, just don't say nothing out of pocket. You're fine.
Yeah, dude, that's like the way. I mean, that's for real the way to do it. Yeah. Unless you suck at fucking marching, because I wasn't good at marching. And then I mean, dude, I did good at so many things, and then all of a sudden I'm like, well, what's this marching stuff? What in step? What's this? And you were a band guy, so I mean, you had a leg up.
Yeah, I kind of learned a little bit. Yeah. At least rhythm. Some people even.
Oh, dude, bro, I had none, and I was like, and I'm just chopping and stepping on people's feet. Yeah. Automatic target right there, dude.
Yeah,
automatic target. Oh yeah, it's a bad. You cannot be a bad marcher, man. So like for all of you out there that are thinking about joining, I will recommend that if you do like active duty or even the guard, I'm sure the guard or the reserves or whatever. Take that marching stuff. Like if they teach you to march, just practice a little bit before you go in. It doesn't take a whole lot. It's simple. Yet if you go in and have no idea whatsoever of what you're doing, learn how to do an about face, learn how to do a right and left face. I mean,
basic marching movements,
stay in step. I mean, it's a very simple stuff, but going in there with no knowledge whatsoever of it at all.
You will get roasted too.
Oh yeah, and you're going to get roasted no matter what. Yeah. I mean, that's just how it is.
I've never done that, right? I would never do that to a soldier.
You?
Yeah.
Oh God, you're an angel. I can't even imagine you doing that.
People may have. Okay, so yeah, like basic stuff, man. That's like the craziest part of the military to me. I gotta not get going, but I want to keep it moving.
Yeah.
But I do want to go over just the idea, the simplicity of. I think the Navy teaches it too. It's right place, right time, right uniform. I don't know if you guys ever heard that, but like. They say it to me now. I'm a freaking staff sergeant.
Yeah.
Like right place, right time, right uniform. It's like you do that, like you're cruising. You're not exceeding, right?
Right.
You are making a living, and you're fine. So.
Think about Quaker Windows, like that. So for all of you, this is just kind of a local window factory, and we both worked there before. And a lot of people. I mean, I would say probably like 70% of the people that live around this area have. It's a big employer, but or a lot of factory jobs in general, or even jobs in general, any job you have. I mean, you just show up, put on your steel-toed shoes and your safety glasses, clock in, at the right time and don't be late. I mean, honestly, that's the biggest thing. There is same in the military. I mean, the military though, it's really hard to be late. It really is. I mean, you're not going to be late. I mean, just don't ever be late.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
still have people that are late. I get that.
Yeah. I mean, I don't even know how
Like,
you can be
come
late.
on.
I mean, yeah, it's like
Yeah, but
it's
I mean,
possible, I guess.
it
But
happens. It
yeah,
just,
yeah. I mean, there's certain circumstances,
yeah.
but I mean,
You had to see in your career too people that were
oh, bro,
habitually late. You know what I mean?
we'll get into that further down the road, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have definitely seen that. Yes, which is wild. But so we were talking about the motivation,
Just
right?
motivation. Yeah.
Yeah,
We
man.
can get past the basic AIT. Just
Yeah. So
I'm glad because initially
yeah,
I did say I don't. The listeners will probably pick up on it, but I did say I was like skip over that part, and then you were like, well, in basic, and I'm like,
yeah,
now I want to hear it. So
yeah.
it's all good though. But yeah. So duty station.
So
Motivation and shit.
I'm gonna briefly just go over some stuff.
Yeah.
I'm going back to basic. I'm sorry.
You're good.
But so basic, you go through all that bullshit or whatever. Everybody has to do it. It just do it. It's not like he says. Just it's literally showing up, doing what you have to do. So you get through, and then all of a sudden, you graduate. Oh my God, now I'm a sailor. Now I'm a soldier, whatever, a Marine, whatever, an airman, and then you go in, and then oh my God, your family shows up and everything else, and you get to eat real food, like civilian food, and you get to go to. I was up in Chicago, so pizza places, Italian place. Oh yeah, man, Chicago style pizza is great. And and then you're like, oh yeah, all right, and then you're getting ready to go down to A school, so AIT, A school, whatever for your advanced training, and you pop down there, and you take a flight or a bus or whatever, and you show up, and you're thinking in your head, oh my God, this is scary. This is so scary. Are they going to beat us even more? And then you get there, and they're, oh hey guys, how are you doing? And then you're like, whoa.
Oh yeah, they're chill with you.
Oh yeah, they're nice to you. They say hello and everything else. You're like, whoa, wait a second, what's going on? This has got to be a deception.
It's a trap.
Yeah. Oh yeah, if you guys want to use your cell phones, that's fine. And I know the military is different now. Like cell phone usage has gotten a lot more lax.
Yeah, but back then it was like,
oh yeah, well we got 2 phone calls in boot camp, and then on pay phones, and then oh yeah, you guys can have your cell phones here. I remember kids slipping phones in their socks,
Yeah.
it was crazy just to take it down to A school, But so A school is pretty self-explanatory. I mean, it really, you get a lot. Back then, we got a lot more freedom. We go in, we would just, we would go PT, and then do whatever. You had your schooling, you had your marching, you had all that, your uniform inspections, your room inspections, stuff like that. It was a lot more lax in boot camp. So, you get done with that, and you're thinking, man, I'm ready to go conquer the world, because this is like the peak of motivation.
Yeah.
Like after like A school, AIT, this is the peak. You're ready to go take on the world. Your first duty station rolls around, So I took a month to leave, hung out around Vienna with this guy here, and some other friends, and had our fun. We were young. We are all 19 years old. Show up to Japan.
Were you I just want to clarify. Were you because it was a fuzzy like E1, right? Were you the same?
So I was initially, yes, I was an E1. I got an E2 in boot camp.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, from PT scores and from testing. So I had to take a test. Yeah.
Oh, you took a test even for that? Yeah.
I took a academic test, yeah, for like etiquette and stuff like that, So yeah, I was E2 going to Japan.
Awesome.
And pretty quickly E3, because it was 9 months is what it used to be back then. So yeah, picked up E3 real quick, but got to Japan, right? And then all of a sudden I'm seeing like, oh my God, whoa.
Vince, we have a problem. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Shit.
It's okay. No, we're gonna take a break for a minute, and then we'll get back. I guess it'll probably be in the next episode. I'll just make it a 2-parter though. But yeah, we'll be right back to continue Vince's story when he got to his duty station and stuff. Thank you guys. We'll see you here hopefully in a minute if y'all are listening. All right, guys, we're back with me and Vince. I'm gonna try. I'm still learning how to do this, right? So I don't let me record for 30 minutes. I gotta get an app, I guess, to record right. But you know, once I do that, not once I do that, I guess. I'm gonna try to splice these two together and just make it a one-parter. But if not, I'll have both up as a two-part. Anyway, we were talking to Vince, about joining the Navy and stuff, all that. His trip through basic and AIT, and now he literally was just about. It was actually perfect. We're at peak podcast right now.
The build up.
Yeah, the build up. He was literally about to jump into his first duty station. So, Vince, the motivation. We're talking about motivation to get through and stuff.
Yeah. So got off the plane, going into Japan. Yokota Air Force Base. And I'm thinking, oh my God, this is the first time I've ever seen real mountains in my life. Like on the way into Japan, right? So like I fly into Denver. I'm like, holy shit, those are the freaking Rocky Mountains.
Dude,
like, whoa.
Yes.
Whoa. And I got a postcard from the airport and I was thinking,
we're from Missouri.
Oh yeah, dude. I was like, I'm so cool. And I sent this postcard back home, dude. I thought it was the coolest thing in the world. Like I'd been to Denver, like I'd really done anything in the Rocky Mountains, but I've been to the airport. So yeah. So at that time, I'm thinking there was another notch on the belt, man. I was like, oh yeah. So then I get up to Seattle. And I'm like, and I spent a day in Seattle, right? And I'm like, whoa, Seattle's nuts, like there's trains, you take trains all around the place, like, whoa, this is crazy. We go to the, what's the, like the, oh my God. When you were stationed up there, I went up there to visit you at Lewis. What's the fish market area?
Pikes Market.
Pikes, yeah.
Dude, fun place.
Oh yeah, man. We took a train around there and ate some. I mean, some incredible food. We were right on the sound, Oh man, it was crazy.
Did you ride the Ferris wheel?
I don't think I did. No, I didn't.
That's
yeah.
the first thing I did when I got up there.
Well, we went up to the Space Needle. That was cool.
Yes,
yeah, that was sick, dude.
Yeah.
That was cool, man.
Kind of scary.
Yeah.
It's kind of scary.
Yeah, it was. Oh yeah. And so we were, so we got to Seattle, and then also I'm just like automatically thinking, from coming from Missouri, and like going to these places, I'm like, oh wow, this is like a different world. And then I fly over. I take a, I don't even know what it was back then. It was like a 10, 11-hour flight. To
jumbo jet.
Mac flights, military flights, and I take it over to Japan, and I'm like, man, so Yokota Air Force Base, and then we get off. I'm like, oh my God, whoa, and we step out there and we get on this bus, and they're gonna bus us to Yokosuka, and I'm driving on the road.
How long was the bus ride?
Oh, it wasn't very long. Yokota to Yokosuka back then, man. I can't truthfully remember. I would say it's like an hour and a half, somewhere in there.
Yeah. Just for the shock to people at home, I just want to point out this is like a little country Missouri boy from at 19 years old, just going straight to Japan. It's crazy.
Yeah, first.
Like in my mind, I'm like,
yeah, you've seen nothing. I mean, A school was in Meridian, Mississippi, which was not very different from around here. And then you went to Chicago for boot camp, but you didn't get to see it. You were behind the walls, So I mean, so yeah, I mean, it was just shock. You get out there, it's shock. And I mean, oh my God, and you see these itty bitty little cars, and you're driving on the wrong side of the road. You're driving on the left side of the road. You're like, what's going on here? This little compact bus, and you got all your belongings. You got a sea bag. You guys probably call that something else, a duffel bag. The green duffels, and we called them sea bags. And I mean, you got your whole life in your hands. Literally. I mean, it's just like you got a couple bags, and that's your life. Most of it's uniforms, and a laptop maybe back then. Whatever. And then you're excited but scared at the same time. You're so scared, and you pull up, and then but then when you get there and you report in, you say, oh man, okay, here it is, and then we had processing, so we had to wait a little bit before we report to the ship, So we had actually like a few weeks, firefighting training, everything else.
Mm.
And then you get there, and then we had to go out and we had to do this thing called AOB ICR, where you had to like basically learn cultural etiquette.
Oh,
Japan
because you're in Japan.
in
So,
Japan,
yeah.
right? So you have to learn the do's and don'ts of everything, and then it was cool. And then
Smart, I guess.
that was very
Maybe
smart.
at the beginning.
Oh,
Yeah.
we all found a way to
I
fuck it
don't
all
know
up.
if they do that in Korea for the army.
I'm sure they do. I'm
Dude,
sure they do
I
because
don't know.
I'm sure they
You
do.
probably get a brief. Ours, they just do a short brief.
We got briefs going into ports, into foreign ports.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, etiquette. Well, I mean, I don't know, man. It was, yeah, when you're stationed there, it is important
Yeah.
because I mean, Japanese etiquette was completely different than Western etiquette or American especially.
For sure. Yeah.
But yeah, you pull up and you're like, oh my god. And then I remember going in and seeing going out in town for the first time. Went to Kamakura, Japan, and that's where the Cherry Blossom Festival is. And then we got to see all these cool, beautiful cherry blossoms and got to actually go out and experience the town. And I said, I'm hooked. I'm in,
Yeah.
I'm in. And man, I was motivated. I was as motivated as could be. And I was ready to be a super sailor, and then we got to the ship. And I shit you not, when I saw that ship, I was thinking, what the fuck is that thing? I said, oh my God. It was an aircraft carrier. I was on an aircraft carrier.
It's like the size of our town.
Oh my
like,
God.
Right?
Yeah, 5,000 people.
Yeah,
5,000 people.
I'm not even joking. That's 10 times the people in our hometown.
Yeah.
And the size of the carrier itself is almost the length of our town.
Yeah.
So it's like
the flight deck alone is like 4.2 acres or 4.7 acres, something like that. Yeah, just the flight deck alone. I mean, well, yeah, you see this thing, and you always see like in pictures and movies and stuff like that. You're like, okay, those carriers are big. You go up and you walk up to the son of a bitch and marching in a line, because you got to march. When you first show up, you're like, oh my God, whoa, this thing is it's overwhelming.
Yeah.
And you walk up to the salute, come on board, and then you walk up the stairs and then you walk up the brow and everything else, and then you say, oh my God, and then this is it, this is my life now.
Yeah, on a boat. Yeah. Like Lonely Island, remember those?
I'm on a boat.
It's not fun anymore.
I'm on a boat. It was fun at first, man, because like you're like it's so cool, it's neat, it's fucking neat. Oh yeah, it's neat as hell. And then, I'm on there and I'm volunteering for everything, man. I'm volunteering for all the firefighting stuff. I'm volunteering for all just the working parties. And I mean, just everything you can think of, man. I was a hard working son of a gun, and that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to go in and I want to kick some ass, I wanted to go make rank quick. I wanted to be, super sailor,
Yeah.
And then, man, we go out on deployment, first deployment, and we leave. And then I get a supervisor, he's an E5 at the time. I was an E3. I just got up to E3. And he just got back from Iraq, I believe. So he did, like boots on the ground for the Navy.
Wow. Okay.
So he did his time. I mean, he
Yeah.
did a service. Something I always wanted to do. I just never got the opportunity to.
Yeah.
But
those not in the military too, or I guess those in the military, I want to go over. He said he's at E6. It's hard in the Navy. A lot of the Navy guys I noticed, they do E6.
you had to be E4 to go. It was the minimum requirements.
No, but I'm saying they go over like they don't say ranks. Like we say.
Oh yeah.
Staff sergeant, sergeant's class. I just noticed Navy guys a lot of times go by.
We go by like grade. So yeah. So like if
which
so,
is fine. It's not a big deal. I was just like, because it's a big deal when you make sergeant, which is E5. 1 through 4 is lower enlisted. Once you make E5, you're an NCO, an operations officer. For the Navy and Marine Corps, once you make E4, you are
a petty officer. Well, a petty officer or a non-commissioned officer. Yeah.
Same thing. It's the same thing, different strokes, different folks.
Yeah.
But you are a little more respected. You are held to a certain standard. Well, you should be held to a certain standard. In the Navy, it is a big deal to get promoted because it's a lot harder, from what I've heard anyway. Yeah,
it's well, and here's the thing, I've talked to my friend Seth about this at Duncan, but I think the standards have changed since I've been in. Back whenever I was in, you had to test, you had to have a good evaluation and everything to pick up for E4, because it was it was like he said, it's like a non-commissioned officer. It's
You
like
don't have to do it anymore.
I've heard different things. I don't know. I'm not.
Interesting.
This is something I've been out since 2019. Well,
Yeah,
out of the
yeah,
reserves. I was in the reserves in 2019. I got out, but I mean, I don't know. I personally don't remember. But back whenever I was in, yeah, like before. Here's the deal with the Navy. 4 was not a big deal. Picking up 4, like
yeah, it's pretty commonplace, right?
yeah,
Most people get it.
just like he said, it was lower enlisted still.
Yeah,
It was still lower enlisted.
yeah,
You were
yeah.
still treated lower enlisted. We had formations, man, and we had formations, and it was E4 and below in one formation. E4 stood in the front, and then or sorry, E4 stood in the back of the lower enlisted formation, and then E1s, E2s, E3 stood in front of them, and then we had a separate E5 formation over here. And then all of our E6s and above stood up front, and they gave out we call it muster, every morning.
Yeah.
But yeah, but to go back to what the hell was I even? Where was I even at? We were talking about motivation. Okay, so
Motivation.
motivation. So yeah, so then you first deployment, um, and man, I'll tell you what. I mean, like this is the first time in my life where I had like, I guess, okay, so you had choices as a kid, like you had choices. Like you could decide to do this or that or whatever. Everything's based on decisions, like decisions are very important.
Yeah.
Um and then when you're in the military, yes, they're important too, but most of the decisions have been made for you, like boot camp, A school, AIT. Most of it's just falling in line and doing exactly what you're told. Well, when you get out to the real Navy, real Army, whatever, there's kind of like a little variance. There's like a little bit of buffer zone, where you can you have to still make decisions. Like yeah, they tell you what to do, but you still have to figure out how you're going to do those things, and you can still decide that I'm not going to do that. Well, you're just going to pay the price for not doing that, you know. So
Interesting.
so I was kind of a shithead when I started out.
Yeah.
I got a little sour, and I really did at the time. I really wasn't a big fan of my E5, and so I didn't. He kind of like at the time I thought he was just barking orders at me,
Yeah.
which he was, but at the same time it really was what I was supposed to be doing. He was my E5. He was in charge of me.
Yeah, but would you say he was bad at giving orders, or would you say you were bad at taking orders?
It was both.
Yeah.
I would say it was both.
Yeah.
It was both. I didn't quite have that, I didn't have that skill set yet. So
it's a hard. I mean,
which is, I mean,
it's hard to take orders from people. Like I've always been that way, just because how I was raised with
yeah,
like that type of family. But like I know for majority of people, hearing someone bark at you every fucking day to get shit done, you're like, dude, leave me alone, and like I'll get it done. You don't gotta be an asshole about it.
Yeah, man. I mean, the biggest thing is mutual respect,
For sure.
The biggest thing, mutual respect. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like if you're an NCO or a petty officer or whatever, higher ranking person, like, yes, you do need to delegate. Absolutely. That is your job. You are supposed to delegate. You're a leader, but at the same time, you need to treat your lower enlisted person as a human being or as somebody that you respect, because they are the cog in the machine, I guess, and it's not, you don't need to be their buddy, but you need to respect them at the same time.
Yeah, man, I'm still,
it's tough. It's tough to get that all down.
I think when you get the rank, you don't know what to do, and then you get, a little more experience. Then you go to a place where they don't know you.
Yeah.
And you're like, I can finally get in people's asses.
Yeah.
You start screaming at people. Screaming don't work no more.
No.
This ain't the freaking 80s. Like, you can't go around yelling at people, because you may get something done that day, but you ain't getting nothing done for like a long term.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel you 100% on it, man. I hate leaders that just do not give guidance.
Yeah, man.
I need that purpose at this point, and that's what like older generations complain at us for.
Mm-hmm.
You always ask why. It's like, dude, motherfuckers, I want to know. Like, I want to know why we're doing this. And I get at a certain point, you've got to get stuff done.
Mm-hmm.
But it's that balance of like, okay, I trust you enough.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna get this stuff done. You tell me to go, I say, oh, got you, Sergeant. But like, I gotta build that trust with you to get stuff done.
Yeah, man. I mean, it goes both ways. I mean, for sure, like you're saying. I mean, like you have to trust your leader. I mean, so your leader has to build that has to build that trust. Um, it's really hard for somebody to go in and work for somebody that they just don't like, or or they don't trust, or I mean, or they feel like it's like it's a futile effort.
Yeah.
Like, oh well, this guy's just gonna treat me like crap anyways. Who
Yeah.
cares?
Why would I try at this point?
Yeah, and so that's the mindset of a lot of people, and that is actually where now don't
But you're saying that's kind of what happened to you at that point.
the
You were
first
just like,
first deployment. That's what happened.
okay, okay. How long was that?
So we would do 6 months in, 6 months out,
Oh yeah, yeah,
7 months, whatever, and then we would go back out. We'd go back to Japan for 6 months.
When he's saying that, he meant, he was stationed in Japan with the boat. They go out at sea for 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
We're not really going to talk about where they went during that because that's probably OPSEC. I don't want.
No, that's fine. We
I
can
don't
talk
wanna go over that.
We can talk about
We
it.
can talk about when you're when there. I'm just saying like the location.
Oh no, it's no big deal. It's
But,
not. It's not OPSEC.
Oh, it's not.
No, no.
But I'm just saying he was out at sea in Southeast Asia and stuff, or South. Yeah, Southeast
Yeah, we were
Asia,
Seventh
stuff
Fleets,
like that.
so we were basically Southeast Asia. We were the Western Pacific, and then Southern Pacific, and then also the Indian Ocean was our domain. We didn't really spend a lot of time in the Indian Ocean, but mostly Western Pacific. Yeah, we went to places, and I'll just name them off real quick. I'm not going to get into detail
No,
on
that's
them,
fine. That's fine.
but like Singapore.
You're saying over your career, this is what
Yeah,
yeah.
Singapore multiple times, South Korea multiple times, Australia multiple times, Guam multiple times, Hong Kong, which I don't know how that is nowadays because China's kind of but Hong Kong multiple
I don't even
times.
know if they go to Hong Kong.
Probably not. I mean,
That'd be dope.
Hong Kong's
I wanna
awesome,
do it.
dude.
Yeah.
It's great.
It was cool. Yeah.
Oh yeah. And then
What was your favorite spot?
favorite spot? Man, for so many different reasons. Like there's so many.
Yeah.
So like Australia, Brisbane, Australia was probably.
I've heard so many Navy people say Australia.
Ah, dude, Australia is so great.
Yeah.
They just it's just so, the people are so nice. Like, and there's so many things there to do. I mean, it's just it's such a beautiful place. But like Hong Kong, man, Hong Kong is wild. Like it's like a whole different ball game when you go to Hong Kong.
That's the mega city, right? It's a mega city.
Oh yeah, it's up there for sure.
Yeah.
And I mean, like we were Yokosuka, where I was stationed. It was an hour and a half, 2 hours by train from Tokyo. It was in the greater Tokyo area.
Okay.
Yeah, I was right by Tokyo.
Yeah.
And then Yokohama, which is in basically the Tokyo area, it was a 30-minute train ride away. So I guess an hour and a half is what Tokyo was by train. So I mean, I think it was only like 60 kilometers, Tokyo was. So I mean, but yeah, so those are kind of some of the places that I've been. Malaysia, Kuala Lumpur. God, I can't think of. There's probably some other ones I can't think of right now, but
what was like? You said he kind of left a sour taste in your mouth, basically.
He was he was a good dude, man. The guy was a good guy.
Yeah, man, but like
he just went through some crap and like but he was a good dude. And at that time, I don't think I was like, I guess the word for it is I was not mentally tough enough to take orders in that way. Like I was used to like somebody, it wasn't boot camp anymore. It wasn't like play the game anymore. It was like,
getting this done now.
Yeah, you're getting this done now. And like while you sit here on your desk and like I'm lifting heavy stuff and carrying, whatever I'm doing, like you're not helping me. And it was just kind of the way I had saw it at the time.
Yeah.
I get it more now.
Well, dude, perception's reality, though.
Yeah.
Perception, and not. I don't mean that. A lot of people are like, no, it's not real. But perception may not be reality, but perception is my reality. So
Yeah.
when you see that stuff, it does leave an indentation. It may not be my ultimate like viewpoint of you, but I'm definitely gonna draw like a conclusion about some shit if I just see you every fucking day. When I'm out in the motor pool doing bullshit and you're like sitting there, that's very frustrating, especially the lower enlisted.
Yeah, it lead by example. It runs down a lead by example.
Sure.
I mean, that's the biggest thing, and that's something even my dad taught me as a kid. Lead by example. I mean, you don't want to be the guy throwing out orders if you're not doing it yourself. If you have not proven that you've done it yourself.
Yes.
Or, that's the biggest thing. I mean, now I know that there's different circumstances for everybody. I know that there's some jobs some people can't do, whatever else. But in the military, I mean, yeah, lead by example. That's going to get you the most respect as a leader.
Yeah.
But we got down to that point, where we were kind of sour towards each other.
Where is this at? Like your year mark?
Yeah. So this is about a year in, and then all the way till about 2 years. And then I got another supervisor. She didn't want to do like absolutely anything, so I ran the show. By this point, I had picked up E4, so I kind of was like able to pull off like some of my own things and like kind of go rogue,
For those that know the E4 Mafia, I don't know if that, but like,
sort of, kind of, yeah.
Yeah, we call it the E4 Mafia. You can basically run everything.
Yeah.
Without your name being out there.
Absolutely, yeah. So you don't have to sign off on it. It's like right. It's like you can do everything. It's just
like missions getting done, but who's doing it?
Yeah. E-Force. Oh yeah.
Out there getting it done.
Man, that was the time though. Honestly, like she just didn't want to do anything, and I was like, cool, I'll do it all. That's perfectly fine with me. She left me alone.
Yeah.
And motivation at that point was different. I about 2 years I had thought in my head, well, I really don't want to do this anymore. I was like, I really don't want to do this anymore. I was not getting the fulfillment that I thought. You see, you get this grandiose idea in your head. You're thinking, oh my God, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go. We're gonna go take out terrorists, and we're gonna go do all these badass things. And it's like, no, man. I mean, honestly, to be honest, you're really most of the time it's just like a regular job. You're sweeping floors, you're picking up boxes, you're filling out paperwork. I mean,
dude, like what war movies do we have? Like we had
Oh God.
Down. Yeah, like I'm talking about modern war. Like
God.
90s and earlier. You had like these cheesy movies.
Yeah.
Like,
painted this picture in your head that was like,
right.
Yeah.
Even like the 80s and like then you had Band of Brothers, stuff like that, right? They grandiose.
Yeah.
These guys. I mean, Band of Brothers is real.
Band of Brothers is badass. That's one of my favorites. Saving Private Ryan.
100%. Dude, and it's like,
yeah.
It's like I think all of us at that age, like me and you, same age, but like a bunch of us in our probably, even my wife, who's like, she's 25, like, we grew up still wanting to like be the fucking hero. Because 9/11 happened. I'm like, no, let's get these dudes. And then, like, it got a little more, after 5 years, 10 years, it got a little more complex. And then after 15 years, you're like, this is real complex. And then after 20 years, it's too complex for me.
Yeah.
But the Army and Navy both, in the first 10 years, probably, that's when a lot of the craziness went down. And then we all join and all the action cuts off.
Yeah.
And you're left with a sense of, number one, imposter syndrome, I'd say. This is me talking, Vince. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, absolutely.
But I think a lot of us get that imposter syndrome of like, everyone says thank you for your service. You get invited to these like luncheons or whatever, and you're just like, I did nothing. And
Yeah.
I have a rotation in Afghanistan, and I'm
Mm.
like, I sat in a little base and did nothing. Like, at a lot of other people, I only did 3 years. I did nothing. I didn't even deploy,
Mm-hmm.
and you're left like sitting there with like why does everybody think I'm when in truth you did do something.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the hardest thing to push people.
Mm-hmm.
If you served for 2 years, as long as you made it a basic and you did like a year after,
Mm-hmm.
I'll call you a vet.
Yeah.
Like, not the ones that got chaptered. They get the hell out of here. But like the ones that like served a bit and just wanted to get out, like people did stuff. It's very hard to accept when you're in though. It's very hard.
Yeah, man. Yeah, you're right. I mean, it's I completely agree with you there. Well, yeah, you get kind of that imposter syndrome. Well, man, when you're on a boat too, like that like different than the army here, but we were spinning circles around, you know, North Korea, the Korean Peninsula,
Yeah.
like China, like right out the South China Sea. I mean, like we were just we were doing these exercises with different militaries and everything else. And like in your head, you're thinking like, man, what am I really doing? Like we're spending, at that time I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, we're just spending taxpayer dollars by doing this now. But really the truth is we were a presence, we were a flag. Hey,
We're here.
we're here.
Yeah.
Because if we weren't there, then I mean, honestly, I don't know.
Something could have.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good point. I
I
never
mean,
think
I mean,
about that.
we are. I mean, here's the thing,
Very
man.
big stick.
Teddy Roosevelt,
The
absolutely,
man. Right?
absolutely.
Like he understood that people don't fuck with the U.S. and they don't fuck with people who are attached to the U.S.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
that's a good point.
it's man, it's tough, dude. It's tough, Like I remember when I first started doing college, like I took a macroeconomics class, Yeah, it was macro, not micro, but macro, and I was taking it up at the campus, and I remember some of the college students had different opinions on things, and they thought like we saw this chart of U.S. spending, and federal spending, and I forgot what percentage it was towards defense.
It's insane.
Yeah,
Right?
it's insane.
It's insane,
and like these guys were just like, oh my god, I was fresh out of the military.
Yeah.
I mean, I was fresh out of the military, and these guys are just hooting and hollering, and they're like, they've got good points,
but you're just like, dude.
But I'm just thinking, like, dude, shut up, like, shut up,
And
like,
you were on a carrier too, because you know the parts cost for F-18.
oh, bro.
Like,
Well,
F-16s, I guess, or whatever.
F-18. So back in the day, back whenever I was toting those bad boys around with a forklift,
Yeah.
Like I remember we had a chief, and he told us, he goes, that's worth more than your life. And then I remember FedLog. You guys use FedLog, right? FedLog, Federal Logistics.
I think so.
Yeah. So
yeah.
I
don't mess with supplies much, but I think so.
I went in there and looked at like the price of like what an F-18 engine was, and I think it was like either like 1.2 or 1.4 million dollars or something. And I was like, oh my god! I was like, that's worth three. Yeah, and like that's what. Yeah, that's what he was, and that's what he was getting at. Yeah. And so like he was joking, sort of.
Yeah, but not really.
But not really, And I was like, damn, it put it all into perspective. It's like, whoa, But so oh, go ahead.
No, what we got to do is I'm going to take another break apparently because we went.
Dude, we've been going.
Another time. we keep going at this 30.
Hopefully, you guys are keep.
I hope you guys kept up. So
yeah.
We'll have either a part 3 or a continuous saga, but just tune back in and we'll continue with Vince. We're about mid-career at this point, so we'll get the rest finished for you guys. All right, we're back for the third time, figuring this thing out. Vince was just talking about, he's about halfway through his stint, just the motivation to get through, how it was steadily declining, basically. Based on who's dealing with it at this point, he was kind of running the show silently, with his like little section, right?
Yeah. So we all had like our own little like we had like our little supply section, I guess you can call it, like within our division. So yeah, I was for my division. I was in charge of supply.
How many people would you say were in like your group? Like just the
40,
one you're talking about.
roughly
Okay.
40.
Okay. And then how many's in a division?
So that was our division. So like Navy terms, like you had the ship, which was the big picture. You had
Right.
ship's company, which was roughly 3,500, 3,000 people. And they had squadron, which that's all the planes,
Yeah.
helicopters, all that fly on board. So total, it makes up around 5,000 people when you go on deployment. So that like the ship's like, it's a floating city.
Yeah.
So yeah, so we had 40 in our division, and then there's a department. So I was in the aircraft intermediate maintenance department, and then the division was 40 of that support equipment, basically everything that taxied the aircraft around, and jacks for the aircraft and things like that.
Yeah.
So forklifts.
Kind of like I call them a fleet crew almost like that. Or,
Sure, man.
Sure.
I don't
know. Yeah, I don't know what
know.
the fuck he's talking about.
So basically stuff that supported aviation operations,
I get that.
Yeah.
So yeah, you get. So what? How was it? It just kept going down, or what?
Man, it was like kind of like looking back now, it was probably one of the happiest times of my life.
Really?
Because we had some amazing people. And I always said that even back then, the people that I worked with were, brothers and sisters. Everybody was so great. It was like a family. I was probably closer to those people than I was to anybody else in my entire life for that period of time.
Yes.
For that period of time, we all grow apart, but during that period of time, I was closer to them than I was anybody else.
Yeah. First, I can empathize with that because you get a similar situation on a deployment, like for Army. You develop bonds with people in those isolated incidents that you'll never see anywhere. Like you'll never see that in a lot of other instances, except for my wife. Hi, honey. I love you. Okay. Love you. Anyway, so you're dealing with all that and stuff, but in that moment, how do you think you felt?
At that moment, the grass is always greener on the other side. That's the way we as humans we always think. I believe.
Yeah.
I always think that we think in our heads, especially as young men and women, we always think that we're missing out on something.
100%.
Especially being 20, 21, 22 years old, we think, okay, well, all my friends are back home partying, having fun, drinking, showing, at the time. I mean, I don't even remember. Was Instagram out? I guess it was out.
It probably was. I mean,
Yeah.
This is like 2013.
Yeah, 2013, 24. So, I mean, like, we're like, you're looking back and you're seeing Facebook, we're seeing pictures and stuff, and we're thinking in our heads, like, oh man, I'm missing out on all the fun times, and so at that time, I thought in my head, well, I'm missing out, I'm missing out, and I'm here, and I'm stuck here.
Which is so funny because people see yours and they're like, that dude's in Japan.
Yeah.
He's in Korea or Malaysia.
Well, it's
crazy.
So it all hit, Ben, and I will say that it all hit about the third deployment. It all hit, and my motivation was kind of back up again because I picked up 5, and I picked up 5 again. I thought in my head, I was like, well, okay, this is different. This is kind of people are kind of like listening to what I have to say, and like, what's going on here? Why are people actually like they're actually respecting my opinion? It's kind of started to as a 4, like towards the later years of my 4, but later time of my 4, they started E4. They started kind of respecting me just a little bit, like on my on my thoughts on logistics or supply or whatever else. But as a 5, it's kind of like solidified that.
Yeah.
And
it says to people, I actually know what the hell I'm talking about.
Right.
Take my word for what it is.
Right. And so that was kind of the point. And I'll tell you, right now that when I picked up E5, I thought in my head, well, I kind of want to stay in now.
Yeah.
But I was such a little stubborn asshole that I had all these plans made up and everything else, and I didn't want change. And I said, no, you know, because if you can remember when we were kids, we were brought up to believe that the 4-year degree, the 4-year path was the only path. That was the best path.
Yeah, I talked about it in my last one. I put
Yeah,
we were brought up, probably the last generation, that you need to go to college. You have
absolutely.
to get the shit done.
It was a necessity.
Yeah.
It was a necessity. That was the thing. And I mean, I would say millennials. I'd say millennials. Like it was a necessity. Like you had to go. You were lower than everybody else if you didn't have a degree. And, that's how we thought. As kids. And that's not right. Obviously, that's completely
It
off.
sucks because I remember, some guys from our high school who they elected to go to trade school.
Bro, they made they made a good decision.
So many people. I don't know. I might have made a comment or two, but I also know people that were just like, they're just going to trade school. That's what they do.
Yeah, see, that's what we thought back then.
Genius,
Yeah.
genius.
Genius, absolutely.
They're making probably more money than me right
Oh,
now.
hell yeah.
Working in our hometown.
Yeah.
With a very solidified job that has a career path progression.
Yeah.
And they will eventually be able to retire at a reasonable age.
Yeah.
It's
absolutely. That, and we in our, and I don't know, maybe at that time we read it wrong, but in my head I had thought, educators, everybody, parents, everybody pushed the 4-year degree because it was just the way to be, So I guess the motivation, basically, to answer this big long question, the decline, and I think I was remotivated towards the end because I had found that I was good at something. I found that I was really good at my job. I really was. I remember I had a chief, an E7, in the Navy. He told me, he goes, Hollis, you're getting out? And I go, yeah. He goes, oh, man, well, we're going to have 2 people to replace you. I'm not trying to toot my own horn here, but I'm just saying I was good at my job, my specific job.
But Dad, hearing that type of shit, you feel so good. It's so nice to get that affirmation from people that not like obviously like my spouse or my family members. That's different, right? That is sweet and that hits a different string. But when you get that confirmation from your job that, hey man, you legitimately are doing a good job. We're gonna need a lot of people to help when they're gone.
Yeah.
You're like, you know what? I'm kind of fucking crushing it right now.
Yeah, man. Well,
I'm like me, like you are a very humble person, so it's hard to accept those compliments. But it is true still. Like regardless of whether or not you believe it, it's true.
Yeah, man. We and a lot of it had to do with effort. Man, I always put a lot of effort into everything that I'd done. But something that I can say is that I guess I was stubborn. I've always been a stubborn little asshole. And kind of like I was kind of, I guess, even at a young age, I was set my ways a little bit. I mean, I'm more. I feel like I'm more open minded at 30 than what I was at 18 or 21.
I would hope everyone is.
You 100%. I mean, but if I had a path, I was going to stick to it. And anymore, that's not really the case, which is crazy because it's like a complete 180. But back then it was like I made up my mind I was going to go to college. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to use this GI Bill. So for all of you back then, like the deal was we had the post 9/11 GI Bill, and it was like $80,000 total. For 36 months.
Isn't that what it is?
I don't know what it is now.
Danielle, do you know the number for total GI Bill? There's no number, right?
For how long you can use it?
Yeah, no, the amount they can give you.
Oh, there is a certain percentage, but they match whatever college tuition you go to.
Oh, okay. So my wife, who's
For the post 9/11.
a wonderful genius, okay, she also uses the 9/11 GI Bill. She says they match pretty much almost every. I'm sure probably some issues you run into is like Yale or Harvard or something.
Yeah, like those big,
Yeah.
higher end
But
colleges.
wherever, obviously, around here where we're going to college, they'll match tuition, and it's like BAH, right?
Yeah, you get BAH for each month.
BAH is basic allowance for housing. That is as
Yep.
long as you take one in-person class. Shout out to Danielle.
Yeah.
Basic allowance for housing, though, is a stipend the military gets during their paychecks, right? So you get your base pay, and then you get, if you're married or over a certain rank, or if you're taking college, you'll get a certain amount for what they consider as the average cost of living, basically, for like a house, like a rent and utilities. So with college kids, they get that tuition paid and they get that paycheck every month.
Right.
So they can cover their living expense, and it typically covers a little more sometimes.
Right. Like, back in what year was it? So I lived in Columbia, Missouri back in 2017. And in 2017, like BAH was like $1,100 a month, I believe. Yeah, for like, for just for going to school, just for being a full-time student.
Right.
And I got the full BAH. So I mean, it's a pretty sweet deal, and I think that was something that was looming over my head, was knowing that I had that GI Bill, and the fact that I always wanted to go to college and wanted to do all these things, and the grass is always greener. I mean, never again will I ever have the opportunity to travel to all these countries, live in all these countries, do all these things because I'm just a normal person. I mean, it's going to be tough. I mean, you can do it, but it's tough.
I think it's really tough to like balance. I experience this much of the world, but now I have stability and I'm gaining what I always wanted in life. Because me and you, I know damn well we wanted that fucking degree. We wanted.
Oh yeah, it was this thing. It was this. I guess it was
probably a mental thing. It's probably
a sense of pride or whatever. Yeah.
It's also whether we want to or not, it's a subconscious parental pleasing aspect. Where
Yeah.
I'm like, I know my parents want me to get a damn degree. I will accomplish this goal.
Yeah.
Which I hate about myself, but it's stuck in there. So like, but you went through this stuff still achieving that. So that's awesome that you got done. How long did it take? Was it like the typical 4 years?
Oh, for school?
Yeah.
School was... So basically, as soon as I got out, I remember I got out.
What year? I'm sorry.
I got on. So I got off active duty in 2015.
We kind of jumped, I guess, for the listeners. We kind of jumped. Vince, he kind of went down that path.
Basically,
year, basically.
So like the motivation, like to summarize all this, the motivation, like basically it steadily declined and then rose again.
Okay.
And what I want to say to all of you, my best advice is know what you want and just go with it. I mean, who cares what anybody thinks? Yeah. I mean, just if you enjoy the military, if you enjoy traveling, and you enjoy seeing new things, the Navy's not a bad place to go. I mean, or any branch really. I mean, but I mean, figure out what it is that you want to do. Don't just say, oh, well, I want to do this. I want to do that. I want to, focus on one goal and make that your priority. And then you can have a small, sub goals outside of that, but find one goal and dedicate, a lot of your energy towards that,
Yeah, energy for sure. You have to figure out what you want to do and
Mhm.
get after it. Because I think a big thing of our generation that we screwed up on, um, a big thing we screwed up on was, well, I kind of want to do this.
Yeah.
I kind
Oh,
of want
yeah.
to do this.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I guess I could do that. No, dude. Like, you know what? If you love something, go after it.
Absolutely.
Fucking send it. Get after it. If you think you're the next freaking Call of Duty player, well, you better be putting in them hours. But if you want to try that and actually put in the effort that takes, then fucking do it. If you think you're gonna be the next lawyer, okay, go get that degree. Go to law school. Go
Yeah.
pre-law off the bat. But like, get after goals. You could even do like the small ones too, like you said, sub goals. That's
Yeah.
a big one, man.
Focus mainly on one goal and make sure that you meet your objectives for that one goal that you're trying to achieve, because there's always got to be a purpose in your life. In order to succeed, you need a purpose. Happiness and purpose are two separate things. I will be honest on
For
that.
sure.
They're
For
two
sure.
separate things. Like Ben, like your purposes in life are what? Like
Raise good children.
raise good children.
Keep my family happy, or keep my family in good standing, and that's really it. I provide for my family. Like, that is my main goal in life.
Right.
And everything else is a subset of that.
Right, absolutely. And that's the thing. I mean, like, and maybe Ben's, enjoyment, maybe drinking a beer,
The
or
happiness portion comes
happiness, yeah.
but happiness comes from
Achieving goals too.
Right. So like,
Yeah.
if I feed my family for the week, or my kids are truly happy, and those that have kids, you see that light in their eyes when they do something, and you look at them, and it's beautiful. That's happiness
Yeah.
to me. And my spouse, when I make her smile with like not doing cheesy, like corny shit, like something I truly meant to do, that's badass. And then like for Vince, he doesn't have that yet, but like, I'm sure there's moments in your life that you have found happiness out of your purpose. Like, can you give an instance? Even like your hard workouts, right? You do hard ass workouts.
Yeah, I mean, like, I would say that. So I'm a Brazilian jiu-jitsu practitioner. So like, I have some good roles. I roll with some decent people. Like people, my skill level, or even higher sometimes, or even lower. Slightly lower, whatever. It's just good to know that I had a good role with them.
Yeah, dude, I am. You can ask Vince. I am not good at jujitsu, but
you haven't put it in the time. That's the thing. If you put it in time, you'd be good at it.
Rolling, after you get done, I've done it a couple times. There's weird training sessions for the military I've done, where after you get done with someone that either you do respect, either if they're better than you or worse than you, when you get done after putting in that effort, that's such a good feeling.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's I mean, like the goals like in life are to succeed. I mean, honestly, to succeed. That's your biggest goal, to succeed. For me at least. Maybe maybe I got the wrong mindset on that. But
no, that's
I mean, the main goal is if you look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and you look at the pyramid, the survival, shelter, food, whatever else, and then go all the way all top of the pyramid's like esteem or whatever, and they say like nobody reaches that point. Everybody's striving to achieve that, to achieve the top.
They hit it, they tap it.
Yeah.
You tap it.
You tap into it every now and again. They say like, I've read studies on this, and I don't know how true this is, but they say like Buddhist monks, like they say they're like the closest to achieving the top of the
whatever,
pyramid.
man.
You
The
know,
people that closest to achievement are the dudes that are truly happy with their lives. I think.
I think like we can always look at times. There's always going to be highs and lows. There's always going to be highs and lows. I mean, you're going to look at periods of your life and say, "Man, what the fuck was I doing?" You know,
Dude, for sure. That kind of leads me into what like the closeout, not the closeout, but like what are the pros? We'll go over the pros first, I guess. Excuse me. The pros of you getting out. What would you say the high points are?
Oh man, okay. So the high points of getting out, you know, like I guess the environment. So like on a ship, you know, you're or even in the barracks back when I was in Japan. I mean, close quarters. You know, really no space to yourself. You know, we call them coffin racks. You know, so I mean, like
You
it.
told me about that.
Yeah, I mean,
It sucks,
yeah, you were just sleeping on top of each other. You know, 6 foot by 2 foot rack. No space. Showering. You know, there's 100 people. There was 4 showers. You know, I mean, just kind of wild the things that we actually did. We were able to handle. I mean, like, you know, we didn't have any space for anything. I mean, and we just got really crafty at making this little 6 foot by 2 foot bed our home. You know, and for months
Yeah.
at a time. So man, that shit got old. You know, you know, basically like the sanitary aspects of it. I mean, yeah, not everybody's clean, and it's hard to be clean because you're working your ass off. Because
Yeah, absolutely.
on a ship, you're doing, you know, the minimum is 12 on, 12 off, but you know, 6 days a week, holiday routine if you're lucky. Most time it's 12, 12. Most time if you're like, it's not 12, 12. You're working, you know, 14, 15-hour shifts on deployment.
Jeez.
You know, and so I mean, and then you know, like having, you know, back in the day, I'm like I said, I'm just kind of a stubborn guy. So you know, I remember thinking in my head that, you know, they control, like the military controlled everything that I did. You know, like, but my thing was I would go to the gym every night, even after working a 14, 15-hour day,
Yeah.
and it's kind of stupid because I would lose sleep.
Yeah, but it's so
But it was for me.
right.
That was the whole.
Right.
It was like, you can't take my gym time away,
Yeah,
which is so stupid.
Yeah,
Look,
I'm gonna lift this 500 pounds, dude. Okay, leave me alone.
just looking back, it was like, you know, it was like that was my time. You know,
Yeah.
and nobody could take that from me. You know, and I would read the Bible out at sea a lot. You know, I'd read the Bible. I'd read different books. You know, and I realized that there
Old
was
Testament,
New Testament mostly.
you like
Yeah,
New Testament.
New Testament mostly. I feel like that's the most relevant. Don't get me wrong, Old Testament has a lot of good morality, you
Oh
know.
yeah, everybody has a
But
preference. I think. I just like to know. It's a personal thing.
yeah, it's the New Testament mostly. You know, but yeah, but basically, you know, yeah, that was the pros of getting out is not having to deal with space issues and having, like, you know, you feel like you're living in a luxury apartment. You see my apartment's not very big.
Yeah.
You know, it's probably like 800 square feet, maybe 900 square feet. I don't even know what it
It
is.
still feels like a mansion.
That feels like a mansion, you know, and I mean, just being able to see friends and family on a regular basis, that's really nice.
Yeah. I think an interesting thing about military is a lot of us moved away because we also had issues with our family, whether it was major or minor.
Yeah.
And I think you move away and you're like, well, you know what? Fuck, I'll take it. Like, I want that. I don't know if that was your
Yeah, man.
come back. That's what I found.
There was a woman that I used to live with. Her name. Well, I'm not going to give out her name, but she brought up something to me, and it kind of put it into perspective for me. It was basically, I felt like we were the island of misfit toys, you know, and Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
Yeah.
You know, everybody that joins was running from something. You know,
Yeah.
I don't think that's necessarily true.
I think it's true for personally. I think it's true for like 80%.
Yeah.
Of the enlisted side.
Mm-hmm.
Officers, that's a
whole different ball game.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a whole different. I mean, that's different deal,
I'm gonna
man.
try to talk to them and see what they think.
Well, that'd be interesting.
Because it's like,
yeah,
because it's a whole different mindset.
It's a different way. I mean, even the military is different for them.
They're still like getting after it.
Yeah.
After 10 years.
Well, they look at their bank accounts every
Yeah.
2 weeks. And they're like, oh yeah,
So much cash,
hooah,
right?
hooah, or hoo-yah in the
Yeah.
Navy,
Yeah.
or hoorah in the Marines.
What do you say the cons are?
Cons, man.
Of getting out.
Yeah, man. So the cons, there's a lot of cons. Honestly, I would go with cons over pro. More cons over pros. Cons basically kind of losing a family.
Yeah.
But I will say this though, and you kind of pointed this out to me, that even if you're still in the military, when you leave a duty station, you kind of lose a family anyways.
100%. 100%, dude.
And that's the thing. And it's
every fucking time after PCS,
Yeah.
you have to go. You literally leave a group of people you love. Like,
Yeah.
you truly love them.
Yeah, you do.
Like,
Yeah.
gone.
Oh,
and
man.
Then you don't talk to them either, because that's how military works.
Mm-hmm.
You end up not talking.
Yeah, man, it's wild, and I tried pretty hard to reconnect with some old, and for years we actually did stay relatively connected, but as time passes, man, it's just human nature a lot of times. I mean, I don't know if it's modern society, if it's the way things work now with, the way we are now with social media and everything else. I don't know, but my God, it sucks, because it's like I think about those people a lot.
Yep.
And I do miss them. And
it's one of the most depressing feelings ever when you think about someone you spent so much time with in a short amount of time.
It's so crazy how close you get to all of them too. It's like they're real brothers, real sisters.
Mm-hmm.
I always hold them to the highest regard, because we went through some shit.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember missing tool. It's 2 a.m. Wake all them people up. Wake all them. Get everybody up down to the shop. It's 2 a.m. Night shift lost a tool. So FOD. Foreign object damage. So it can't get up in the planes. So it's a big major issue. It's kind of losing a bullet.
That's insane.
It's like losing a round. It's same situation.
We don't chirp about rounds.
Well. We did for sure, because
I guess that's a bigger deal there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, FOD's a big deal on a carrier with planes. I mean, with aircraft, in general.
Yeah.
I mean, you can down an aircraft. I mean, even little wood chippings and stuff like that. I mean, so metal.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I remember this one night we were looking for this Allen wrench, dude, and we were like, "What the fuck?" Like no.
I'm not doing it.
Oh man, dude.
Allen wrench?
Yeah. Motherfucker was like this big, dude. It was like one of those, the smallest.
Yeah,
you got the little the toolboxes.
Even look, it's a boat.
It's fucking gone. Shit's gone, dude. And
I got an Allen wrench for you, right here.
Oh man, you wanted to say it, and I mean, I think the brotherhood. I'll encompass everything, brotherhood, sisterhood, whatever. I'll encompass it all in brotherhood. It's but just the camaraderie, for sure. Some great friends, great people. The sense of purpose, losing that was big. Out here, you got to figure it out. You got to figure it. And you guys,
100% accountability.
You guys had a little time before you went in to understand what it was like to be a civilian. To understand what like an adult civilian.
I do hold that to my credit, that I did have to figure out life. What I am going to do, we have 20 seconds left, so I have to do a part 4.
That's all right.
So I will stop it, and hopefully we'll figure it out. We'll see you guys when we come back. Back with part 4. I'm pretty sure I'm building an anthology.
Sorry, guys, talking a lot.
I love it. I love it. Now, I was worried we were going to go short, so I'd rather do this than worry about it. So, Vince, you were telling us, the camaraderie, the brotherhood.
Yeah, man.
There's very primal feelings you feel when you're close to people in a stressed environment.
Yeah.
Which you dealt with, and how that was kind of taken away, and how you got to figure out life real quick when you got out, and how he's talking about me and my buddy Ryan. We both joined a little later. I think Ryan joined about 2 years.
Ryan was pretty quick, like right out of high school, so he really didn't have like the.
Right,
Seth Duncan is a good guy. Seth, I'm talking to you.
Navy, yeah.
Talking to you, Seth.
Fred
Fucking Fred was 30.
Fred is hopefully on.
He was 30.
He's in the National Guard, but he is active Guard Reserve,
Yeah.
which is a very interesting situation. But they were also, I mean, Seth was freaking
25, 26, somewhere in there.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, 25,
And
26.
Fred was also 30, 31, right?
30. They just turned 30 when he joined,
So they were both very stellar athletes, very strong gentlemen.
Yeah.
They were, call them gentlemen. That was weird. Sorry, dudes. But
they are gentlemen.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Classy scholars.
Gentlemen and scholars.
They were very just late to the game, but they can tell you all about life. And I'm sure Fred had to some of these kids.
Oh, yeah.
I was 22 when I joined. So I really just saw I talked about on my first podcast. I talked about how it's hard because you just saw enough of life to realize it's fucking hard, but you're still young enough to where you're sucking just the same as the people joining.
Yeah. You were in a weird spot. You were really young still. You had like the college experience and you kind of bills and things like that.
I was a fucking clown still, so it's not a big deal. It was.
No, I mean, you had.
Yeah, but I fixed. I had to get something going. I was still doing dumb shit. Now he laughs because he's like, oh yeah. Yeah, it was bad. So I think that's the hard part. If you go out and you don't get that correction from the military, and you are that clown or hobo, you are gonna struggle at life. You are gonna fail at shit. And you got to figure out a way to fix that. And that's what I found in the military.
Yeah.
That's really what I'm looking for in the podcast, is to see how people dealt with stuff and what it did for them, and, all that.
So like to all of you guys out there, and I don't know the demographics we're actually that you're hitting. I have no idea,
We're rooting for 1 million in the first 2 months.
What I'm getting at here is basically like, I've got a cousin that says this all the time. He goes, well, if I'd joined the military, I'd hit them drill sergeants right in the face. They couldn't tell me what to do. And, and I mean, okay, cool. But, honestly, give it a shot. I mean, like it will make your life better. I mean, it will give you structure. It'll give you a baseline. And I think that's one of the pros out of this that it gave me was a baseline. It gave me the opportunity to go to college. It gave me the opportunity to see all these places, the experiences. I mean, that one, we could create a podcast on sea stories. I mean, we're not even getting into depth on sea stories. I mean, there's a lot of crap
100%.
that we had someone, and that's why I think this one's going to be one of the longer ones, and I apologize for that. But I mean, like, there's just so much to.
I think there's so much nuance and intricacy to what you dealt with, trying to adjust to this crazy lifestyle. And I think that's our part too, is the Navy is kind of smaller. So
yeah,
I know you, and I think I know one other guy from our hometown that joined the Navy, Craig Justice, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, he's E7 now.
Right, yeah.
He's doing really well. He's a nuclear engineer.
But all we see is his Facebook post, or that's all I see.
Yeah.
So like I guess it's just a different lifestyle altogether.
Oh yeah, 100%.
So much to deal with.
So I want to break something down here. This is pretty cool. I want just to let you all know I wanted a cool like intro song coming into this, but I think there's like copyright issues and everything else. But I wanted like Motley Crue song would be pretty badass, But back whenever we were out at sea and we would go out on deployment, we had a captain, our first captain, Captain Lausman, every time we pulled into a back into Japan, it was our home port, right? And he'd play the song on the 1MC, which was the intercom, so the whole ship could hear. Dun, 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 dun. I'm on my way, Home Sweet Home by Motley
Oh
Crue.
yeah.
And,
Badass.
and it was just always badass. And
Banger, dude.
he would always call us
Fucking
rock
banger.
stars, man. He calls us rock stars on the ship.
Yeah.
He'd say, "You all are rock
Is
stars."
he just a cheesy officer?
No, dude,
or what?
he lived the rock star lifestyle.
Oh, okay.
Like Fat Leonard, like that whole deal, like with the the whole like embezzlement and like getting favors from like all these like foreign ports and stuff. Like he was involved in that, and he got kicked out of the Navy for it.
Jesus.
They were these officers and stuff were getting like favors. Oh no, it was like a rock star lifestyle, man. Like it was like no joke. It was a real deal, and it was fun, man. I mean, so that's like one of the the pros. We had just a lot of fun, man. We got to see a lot of things. Like got to do a lot of cool things. Brotherhood, family, and just the skills that you picked up. Like the ability to deal with stress and other things.
I think it's so cool. I think it's such a cool idea of you doing something, or I guess the Navy idea for those, I guess, that are thinking about it. Like, I'm not trying to discredit the Army, but the Navy offers that travel and that close camaraderie. I don't think the Army offers as well.
Yeah, I mean, you got to leave. So like when you go to foreign ports, right? Like they tell you it's like a marriage contract. Like because if you leave the boat with your Liberty buddy, you got to come back to your Liberty buddy. Anything your Liberty buddy gets in trouble for while you're off the ship, like in a foreign port, like let's say I go to Hong Kong.
Yeah, you're in trouble with them.
You're in trouble with them. Yeah. So that's like that collective punishment type of thing. Like if your friend decides to sneak out of the hotel at 2 a.m. I mean, you got to trust the person you're with. Yeah. I mean, so it's decisions, man. It's decisions mean everything.
Yeah.
I mean, but yeah, it's the brotherhood. It's the traveling. It's things like that. It's the sense of purpose. You knew you were part of something bigger than yourself, and I think a lot of times, like out here in the civilian world, you're just focusing on, hey, how do I make X amount of money,
Right.
or how do I
my role.
Yeah, and it's like, man, really get involved in your communities. If anything, if you guys don't join the military, I mean, the military is a great thing to do. I think it's a great starting point, and it can be a great career for a lot of people. But even if you don't join, go out and get involved in your communities. Go out and join some sort of organization. Like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu or boxing or Muay Thai, martial arts, or you can go to a gym, a CrossFit gym, or you can go to, join your local church, whatever Knights of Columbus. Yeah. I mean, volunteer, get involved, find a deeper purpose than just yourself, because you will not be happy if you're just going through the motions and earning a paycheck. You have to get involved. And that is something the military gives you. And that's something I do miss dearly.
I think that's a great summary of like the options that the military offers that like a lot of places do not. So I appreciate that, Vince.
Yeah, I think that's that's what people should know.
Yeah. That's what I'm trying to get after here is people understanding what it has to offer, that I think it's not publicized enough. There's stupid bullshit ads of pick your gamer for the Army. I'm like, dude, no. You know what the Army did? It fixed my fucking life, and it gave me a house and kids, and it gave me structure.
Yeah.
It gave me structure. So I don't want to dive into it because I'll get pissed off. I'll start getting mad. But I just, I want to appreciate you. You're my first guest, man. This is my first guest on this podcast. I'm still trying to learn it. I think this was a really good interview, though. I think it went down really well. I appreciate you for your time.
Yeah,
Is
dude.
there any other, number one, is there any other words you want to say to the group?
So something I just want to say is like, if you guys pick up anything out of this podcast, right? That's what we call this, a podcast, right?
Yeah.
I think if you guys pick up anything out of this podcast, I think like something you guys need to realize is that, you know, I said this earlier, but the grass isn't always greener on the other side. I mean, you know, appreciate what you got, you know, especially if you're a young person, you know, like, appreciate what you got, but, you know, still have ambition, still be willing to, strive to achieve more, you know, but at the same time, don't just say, hey, you know, I don't have this, I don't have that. Like, always appreciate what you have, you know, that's important. I mean, because sometimes you know, any day you can lose, you know, anybody or anything. I mean, one day you could be driving a Lambo or, you know, a Mercedes. The next day you could be driving nothing, you know. I mean, you know, so always be grateful for what you have. And then something, you know, just to kind of keep in mind is that you should always be looking to achieve more. And I think in the military, I think you will always have that. You will always have something to strive for. There is always a ladder to climb in the military. There's always a ladder to climb. You will never just be stuck in one spot forever. Like, you will always have the ability to grow and to achieve more. So I think if any of you were thinking about joining the military and that's your goals and you want to achieve more, I think that's the right path for you. And, you know, kind of something I can tell you is like, you know, you always have in life, you're going to have, you know, peaks and valleys. You're going to go up and down. You're going to go up and down, you know. You can agree with that.
100%.
I mean,
yeah, your life will 100%. Whether you're single, married, divorced, widowed, everything comes in strides. Tom Hanks said it best, I think, in one of his interviews. He said, "This too shall pass." Right? He was talking to other actors. You ever see that clip? He's like, "Oh, you're doing great. You're doing great in your career. This too shall pass."
Yeah.
Oh, you hate your fucking life. You wanna quit. You wanna give up. This too shall pass. So those highs and lows, they go away.
Yeah.
So don't let that deter you.
Yeah.
Anything.
No. No, and like that's the thing. Like, stay committed. Like, to all of you young folks out there, like, you know, I mean, I'm not that old. I'm not an old man. At least I don't feel like an old man, but I'm 30. Like, but to all of you that are like 16 to 25, you know, like something I can tell you, you know, is just is to quit trying to please, you know, everybody that you feel like you got to please. You know, social media. You know, I mean, keeping up with the trends, keeping up with the Joneses. You know, everybody, all your friends. You know, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. I mean, just go out and be yourself. Go out and go make a life for yourself. I mean, do what makes you happy. Doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. I mean, just go out, because at the end of the day, you're the one that's gonna have to live with it. I mean, so
100%.
That's my philosophy on that.
That's the worst too, when you make, because me and you have made, let's call them boo-boos, right, in our life.
Lots of them.
And you have to like live with that decision,
and
it hurts worse than anyone telling you shit. It's you up at night. What am I gonna do to fix this shit? You know, like that. That's the worst, man.
Yeah,
I think you gave so much fucking insight on this episode. It was awesome. I appreciate you being my first guest, because this is a very bold leap for me, and I think it went really smooth. Hopefully, we'll see. I guess how it turns out. But thank you for coming on, man. My last question for you before we get off here, I'm gonna ask it probably to every one of my guests. What would be your favorite movie recommendation? To every private joining, to every sailor, to every airman, to Marine. What's the motivation? Come on.
So mine's cringe as hell. I mean, It's gonna be Rocky 4.
He says it's cringe as hell. He told me this. He told me it before because I was trying to figure out a question. But like Rocky 4 is badass. Okay, the training montage alone, I'll watch it and get pumped for the gym. Okay, and the training montage, the freaking intro with James Brown and freaking Apollo coming in,
Living in America.
Dude, living in America. James Brown, right?
Yeah.
This shit's badass.
Oh yeah, it's badass, and like I mean, obviously it's all absurd because I mean, like, well, you can see it like Drago is taking steroids and everything else, and yeah, and like like Stallone's doing the old fashioned cutting wood. So like from this naive 16-year-old, he's like saying, oh, if I cut more wood, I'm gonna be badass like Rocky, but that's not necessarily true.
Me and Vince also cut wood. Remember, so we were like, you see it.
I still cut wood all the time.
You see it, that's bad.
Yeah. You think you're gonna be a badass, but really, well, I don't want to say steroids is the way to go, but
He should have won.
And then the book, you said, right? You said something about the book.
Yeah, give me a book. Give me one book to recommend to people.
So honestly, one of my go-to books, like if you're a martial artist or just somebody that's really looking to improve your life, I think it's the Book of Five Rings by Miyamoto Musashi.
I bought that book actually.
Did you?
I'm reading it right now.
It's a good book. So
very short book too.
Yeah, it is. Very short read.
Very short read.
It's something that it applies real world. So like carpentry and different things. It's kind of funny, but it's like he uses examples of like carpentry and mason work and other things like as real life examples that help you tackle.
He also applies it as a warrior.
Yeah, as a warrior. He's a real deal warrior. He
applies it as that, but it relates to anyone in any circumstance.
Absolutely.
It's a very ahead of its time book.
Yeah. 1600s, yeah. Or
way ahead of its, either way, it's still way ahead of its time. One of the last samurai in the world.
Yep.
Very awesome dude.
Bad mofo.
The dude, the intro, he's like, my name is Baba Musashi. I have killed like 67 men. I'm like, holy shit.
He's being sincere too. Yeah, he's like real.
Sounds like the Princess Bride.
Yeah.
You killed my father.
Prepare to die.
This dude's badass. That's a great recommend.
Oh yeah.
For people.
Yeah, I think so.
And then I like quick reads too. So that's awesome.
Yeah, man. It's a quick read. I mean, I don't even know how many hours it'd take. It doesn't.
Yeah, just quick. Read a book. Okay.
Read.
Get up. Go run a mile.
If you're watching YouTube, and David Goggins is obviously great. David Goggins is very extreme.
The goal here is to get David Goggins on.
Holy shit.
That's the goal. Okay.
Well, Goggins would be like, he'd be talking to you, be like, you're all fucked up.
Yeah. You're a piece of shit.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I appreciate it, Vince. Thank you so much for coming on. Listeners, if you stayed through the whole podcast for this, I appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. I look forward. Stay tuned for our next episode. We should have one out every week now at this point. I'm trying to keep it pretty consistent. So, Vince, thank you for coming by.
Yep, not a problem. Thanks for having me.
No problem. And we'll see y'all later.
Peace out, homies.